This is just one piece of a multi-part course on bitmap design in Moho Pro 13. To gain access to this course, you can pre-order on Tune Files, join us on YouTube and get access when it releases, or you can purchase this course once it releases on Udemy. It's now time to ink up our layers. And the first thing we need to do is determine what is going to be separated. Now, every rig is going to be different. However, there are certain ways I like to set up my designs so that way I can rig them certain ways. And that's what I'm going to be teaching in this course. So the first thing I would like to do is ink up the head. And we want the head, the outline of the head, the face, but not the face details, to just be one layer. From there, we'll group things together with the face details, which will be on their own layers, to create the design. But let's start with the head. So the first thing we need to do is create a new image layer. So coming up here to the layers, I can just go to that new layer and then choose image from the list. We're going to name this one head, and we should be in the same position that we were with the other one. So you can see if we come in here, we have our stuff set up just like this. So once you find it, we can go ahead, making sure that the width and height are set, hit create. So now we are looking at a new layer. We want to come over here to the Bitmap Brush and select the brush. So this time we're going to come in, and you'll recall if we go to the Bitmap Brush settings, we can come in and re-enable the ink category, and that's what I've done here. But you can really go in and choose whatever brush you wish. Again, this is going to be your cartoon, so you should pick a style that speaks to you. If there's a brush in here that you like, then definitely use it. Also remember, you can create your own brushes and add them to Moho. And so I'll probably create a little course on that just so it's all clear. And I'll probably talk about that in my final thoughts. But anyway, with all that, let's go into the ink category. And I'm just going to come down here and let's pick something simple. And in fact, I'm just going to click on Simple Liner. Now, I can come over here to my options and just work with this a little bit here. So if we go into the options, I want to set the spacing to -1, but I want to bring the smoothing all the way up to full because I want my lines to be nice and rounded whenever possible. That's the type of look I want. And for the color, I want to come in and just bring up the opacity on this. Click OK. And the size, I can come in here and play around with. I think 5 should probably work for what I want. So we'll start with 5 and go from there. Opacity is at 100% and everything else is set to default. So now it's time to come in here and just start working with the inking process for the head. Now, again, just to keep in mind, we want to make nice, bold strokes with the inking. It's not going to be like the sketching where we did nice little sketch lines. It's just nice, distinct movements. Now, you could use the sketched look if you want. Again, completely your own style, but I'm just letting you know what I plan to do. Coming in here to the head layer, we'll start at the head and just go down on his right side. So down like that. It's not a bad start. I might come in here and just do a little cleanup. So click on that eraser, come down here and just erase about like that. And I might also come over here and just try to round this off a little bit more. But this is a good start for the line. So let's go back here to that Bitmap Brush and we can keep going. Again, do not be afraid to flip your iPad and do what you feel is necessary to keep moving. So we're just going to come up here, back up to the top of the head, and we're just going to try to fill this out a little bit more. Just going to come down like this. I might just erase that last little part like that. Grab the brush, and we can keep going. Again, we're doing the head, so we want to just come in here and come down like this. Maybe just erase a little bit, and then keep going. Again, do not be afraid to erase and just take your time. Okay, I might just go in and do a little bit of cleanup here on the bottom. Just kind of try to smooth out some of this. I think maybe just moving that last little chunk there and just coming in and trying again should benefit me. So we'll see here. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. Okay, so now we have the main outline of the head in place for this ink. The other thing we want to come in and do with this layer is add in the ears. So you can also add the ears on separate layers if you wish. Let's say you plan to do certain things with the ears. But in my case, I don't plan to do much. They're just there. And so we're just going to add them on the head just for simplicity. So coming in, we'll start with the front ear. I might just undo that action and try that again. Let's do that one more time. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. So there we have the ear in place, and I'm just going to come in and add in the ear lines. And we'll add in this back ear and also an ear line just like that. Now I'm going to clean up this part just a little bit. If I hide the head, in fact, if I go back to the original, you'll see that there's no line separating the head from the ear. So I'm just going to come back here to my ink layer, grab the eraser, can zoom in a little bit here. There we are. And we're just going to erase. Just like this. Go all the way down. And just clean up that portion like that. So now you have something that looks like this. We want the line separating the back ear, simply because that is not showing us the whole ear and the head is separating it. But everything else here is looking pretty good. Now it's time to move on to inking the hair. So we're just going to create a new image layer because once again, we don't want this on the head layer. So let's come over here, add a new layer. We're going to make it an image. We can name this one hair. And then we can hit create. Of course, I'm using the same dimensions as I have been, but we can come over here and just get this situated. And I'm going to start on the top and then work my way down. Now, one thing I'm going to do also is separate out the strands. You can see right here we have these two big strands, and I think it might be best to separate them out just in the event that you want to work with them separately or independently later on when you're rigging and animating. You could do the whole thing on one layer, use a smart warp mesh, and just animate that way as well. But I find that a lot of people prefer it separated, so we're just going to go with that method. But let's start with the main top portion of the hair first. And once again, just like we have been, we're going to use the same brush, coming in and drawing what we see. Nice, distinct lines. Again, Moho has kind of some quirks to it with its design tools. You can see that there's sort of a little jagginess to it. And again, that's really just how it works. And it kind of has its own design style. It's kind of more of a retro looking bitmap style in that way. So we're just going to keep going here. Now, you'll notice if I keep running with the sketch, we're going to hit the hair strand. So we're just going to kind of pretend here and move down and kind of go like that. So that's what the main hair would look like without the strand. And then we can move down to the bottom portion here. Just move in. And just do what you can here. coming in and just adding in your stroke lines one at a time. Again, nice, distinct, and bold. I'm now going to follow the sideburn down. Remember, let's make sure we keep those notches intact. So it's kind of coming down like this. Can go down to the bottom. And then we're going to work our way up. So we can just kind of come up like this. And again, we can keep the original line work in mind here. So we can kind of come up and down, up like that. Like that. And I'll come back and add in the in-between lines here soon, but let's just get the main outline. Done first here. Just like that. Nice, round, distinct, bold lines. I'm just going to move my canvas up a little bit here and focus more like that. And with that focus, I'm actually just going to clean this one up a little bit. Let's just redo that. There we are. The other thing is the sketch is just there for your own reference. So if you find there are design choices you can make on the fly that will benefit the ultimate product, the inked product, then by all means do it. You don't always have to follow the sketch verbatim, just so you know. There we are. So now you have that main portion of the hair done. And that is looking pretty good. So for the hair strands, we're going to make them on their own individual layers. So let's start with the biggest one, which is on his right, but it's furthest on our left. So we're just going to click on the Add Layer tool and click on Image. We can name this one Big's Hair Strand or Big Strand, however you want to approach it. There we are. And everything else should be fine. We can hit Create. So now it's just a matter of coming in here and adding in the ink lines for that big hair strand. Let me just come down here and I can just zoom in a little bit and make sure we're all situated. Using the brush and the same parameters we've been using, starting on that new layer. I'm just going to start at the top here and come in and draw this out. There we are. Just come up like this. There we are. And we just want to come in here now and complete this shape. So I'm going to come down like that. Now, we don't want that bottom line there forever. What we're going to end up doing here is filling this in, and then we can remove that line after the fact. Now, the other thing we might want to do is come in and just do a little bit of cleanup here with the line work. So with my eraser, I can come in here and just kind of clean that little notch up right there. And I think everything else is looking okay. There we go. Now let's move on to the small strand of hair. Just like the big strand, we want to make this a separate layer. So new layer, image, come in here, and small hair strand. And it should be going where it needs to. Everything is good for resolution. We can hit Create. And we're just going to repeat the process as we did before. Using our brush, we can come in and start. Just kind of come down like this. Just go up like that. And there we are. We can just round off the top to complete. And we now have the small hair strand separated out and good to go. Now at this point, if you'd like to see how this is all shaping up, we can always come back here to the display quality settings and choose to not fade unselected layers. And if we hide the sketch, you can kind of see how this is all shaping up. And again, it kind of has a rougher look to it. And that might dictate how you approach your own style. But we're just going to keep going here. And eventually, we should have everything inked up so we can move over to the filling stage. So now we're going to keep moving and we're going to ink the face. So let's make sure that we have everything visible here. So we got that sketch visible, and I'm also going to come back here and just turn my display qualities back so that we are fading unselected layers. So now we want to create a new layer, and this is actually going to be for a few different layers. So we'll start with the eyebrows and work our way down. And we'll actually want to create separate image layers for each eyebrow. So come over here, we'll create a new image layer. We can name this one right eyebrow or r.eb. Sometimes that's how I like to abbreviate it. And again, I'm going to be designing this and naming it as if it's his eyebrow. We're actually going to be designing the left eyebrow according to our view, but it's his right eyebrow. So once you have that set, we can hit create. And we're just going to start on that left side and create his right eyebrow. Using the same inking parameters we've been using, I can just come in and draw like that. And I might just undo that last one and try that again. Maybe zooming in a little bit will help. So something like that should actually work. Now I want to do the same for the other eyebrow. Once again, we'll need a new layer. So create your image. This one, though, is going to be named L.eb, left eyebrow, and we can hit create. Now we're just going to jump in and basically do the same thing. So starting on the top here, we can work our way down and just work our way over like this. Actually, let me undo. That didn't quite go how I wanted. Try it again. Start at the top and go down like this instead. And we can kind of work our way down like this. I might need to come over here and just toggle this fade selected layers thing and just kind of isolate this really quick so I can see these two eyebrows and how they look. And that's not looking too bad. They look pretty similar in shape. And again, the one that's on our right is going to be slightly bigger due to the fact that this is a 3/4 view and that portion of the head is closer to the camera. But I could also come in here and maybe just clean up the lines a tiny bit once I look at this in isolation. Maybe just kind of come up like this with the eraser and sculpt this part out so we don't have such a long point at the end of that one. And the same could be done maybe a little bit right here as well on this end. And you'll need to, of course, select the right eyebrow to do this. Just come in here, and that might be a little bit too much. Let's just undo and try that again. And you can always decrease the size of your eraser if you feel it's needed. But there we go. Something like that should work. So now we're just going to bring back these layers. And I can continue then to use the display quality to build all this up. So let's just go back to fade unselected layers. And we're now going to move down the head here to the eyes. Now, the eyes are going to be built up separately, as in there's going to be different parts for this. We're going to have the whites of the eyes, the pupils, and then the top and bottom lids. And so depending on how you want to ultimately rig and animate, you can design the whites of the eyes and the pupils on the same layer. So you could have two pupils on one layer, the two whites on one layer, or you can split them up. So you have one white on one side, one white on the other. They're two separate layers. Same with the pupils. It really depends on how you wish to animate and ultimately rig. I'm going to design this how I would be designing my own character, and that is I'm going to separate out the eyes. And so the new layer we're going to create here, if we go to the new layer option and choose image, we can come in here. We're going to choose to create his right white. So it's just going to be right white, and we can hit create. This is going to be the right white of the eye. So we can come in here and we're just going to try to draw out a shape as close as we can to what we're seeing in the sketch. And as you can see, I didn't do that good of a job, so let's try that again. Now, you basically want to outline what you see here, and then the eyelids will also come in. And we're going to be doing some masking here to kind of help with all this. But first, we just want to come in and just, again, outline the white of the eye. There we go. That looks pretty close. So now we're just going to make another layer. Of course, making sure that it is an image layer. Click on image, and we want to name this one L.white. And you can use capital letters if you wish. I kind of just started that, so I'll just kind of keep doing it. But once you're good, you can click create, and we're going to jump in now and do his left eyeball. Let's try that again. I might zoom out a little bit for this one. Okay, I can also come in here with my eraser and just try to make some parts look a little bit more uniform here. There we are. Maybe this one down here, just kind of clean that up a little bit. And maybe just a little bit right here as well. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. So now we have the whites of the eyes. The next step is to create the lids and the pupils. So let's just start with the eyelids. I'll create another image layer. We're just going to name this one right dot top dot eyelid. Hit create. Now again, this is his right eyelid on the top. So it's going to be on the left for us. And we're just going to tackle that left top eyelid. Now here's the thing about this. We can actually draw outside of the boundaries because we plan to mask this out. So you can see how I'm drawing this. It's outside of the original outline. And that's okay, because we have a plan for how to tackle this. So just come in here, and you can see again that I am outside the bounds of this. And again, that is fine. Let me just erase that part though and try to make that a little bit more pleasing. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Image. And this will be left top eyelid. And then hit create. Same thing. Just come in here. Get the basic shape down, and let me just try this again. There we are. And just down like that. Maybe just a little bit different at the end here. Get my brush back and just come in. It's kind of down like that. There we go. Now we want to move down to the bottom lids. make that new image layer. And this will be right bottom lid. Hit create. Now just jumping back to that left eye, you're just going to draw out the bottom lid. Okay, and then we need to do the other one as well. So this one's going to be, you guessed it, left bottom lid. Hit create. And there we go. We can now focus on the pupils. So let's just create a new image. We'll name this one right pupil. Hit create. Again, his right pupil. So we can come in here. Just kind of figure out how we want these pupils to look. We can go with something like that. And then left pupil will be the next one on our list. And then hit create. And that's looking pretty close to the other one, so we can go with that. Now we can move on to the nose. And the nose really could have been on the face layer, but for now, we're just going to go in and add it just like this, and then hit create. And just coming into that layer, can do just like that. Grab the eraser, and just kind of erase it just like that. Then we can do the mouth. And for right now, I'm going to call this one mouth dash closed. And then hit create. Once again, just coming in here, we're going to follow the sketch, making sure we have the brush selected. Might just undo and try that again. I think that should work. Come in and add those smile lines just like that. And then a little mark on the bottom like that. And then a little lip line on the bottom. So far, if we come back here and just take a look at what we have going on here, come over here to the display quality. Let's just remove that fade selected layer option. Come over here, we're going to hide the sketch. You can see that this is what it's looking like so far. And again, it's already taking on a style of its own. It really does not look like the bitmap design we brought in as our reference. Already, you can see that there's some slight differences, even without the masking, and just the way the line work looks. So there's definitely differences here when it comes to working this way. To view the rest of this course and gain access to the source files, you can check us out on toonfiles.com, Udemy, or join us on YouTube.